Want to start with any statements or general thoughts?
Golly, I just thought both teams just flat. It's kind of one of those, as you got into it, you thought you really don't want anybody to lose, quite honestly. They played their hearts out, and our guys did too. And probably for all of us, we couldn't be luckier to have that those are the men and women from these two schools that are going to go fight for our country. And what the Constitution and the democracy, I mean, I hate to go a little bit beyond football, but it is beyond football.
And the way Brad Roberts ran in the fourth quarter, I mean, how nice was it to have him on your side of the field at that point?
Yeah, that last drive, you know, you got the big fellas going a little bit, and Brad had, you know, I think even on the 4-minute here at the end too, had some really good carries also.
And was there some strategy? You know, when they sub, when they have 1st and 10, when they get the ball, they sub, and then you're allowed to sub after that. That seemed to lead to the delay of game. I mean, when you saw that sub, was that kind of the thinking?
Well, you want to match, which that's allowed by rules. You know, personnel-wise, you absolutely can. And, you know, depending on what you see, how they're lined up, or what personnel they have on the field, you're allowed to. And so you want to put a different player in there.
And going, you know, I've often seen your teams, you know, play conservative at the end of the half. Was the fact that they were getting the ball first in the second half part of the thinking in trying to make something happen there?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we thought we had a chance to maybe get a one-on-one throw down the field, and it didn't turn out that way. And so if it doesn't work and the outcome doesn't happen the way you want it to, then even if the outcome does happen the way you want it to, then you're going to wear that.
And was the Cormier pass scripted, you know, as a third play of the game, or was that just something you saw?
We wanted to get to it early, and I made a heck of a catch. I kind of wondered a little bit. I kept looking, where's the sun? But the sun was still far enough in the east. It wasn't directly behind like it can be. You know, really from about 11:30 to about 1:15, it's a factor because it comes out of that south.
And was there a reason you guys kind of went away from the pass for the most part after about midway through the second quarter?
No, I don't. I mean, how many times do we really, would we attempt 8 throws? Is that correct? We hit some key ones and really had a chance to hit another one to Caleb Rios when it was 10-0 too.
Coach DePore is 6 or 7 on field goals this season, hit 2 big ones tonight. Can you just talk about how important it is that he's able to be clutch for y'all?
Yeah, no doubt. And that's not just this year. I mean, I think the one thing that's evident, his leg is clearly stronger this year. And it's not really a surprise. You think of last year when you come right out of basic training, you know, compared to this year and the amount of work that he put in, you know, in the off season. And it shows. I'll tell you the other thing. It's a small play, but we chose to kick against the wind to start the third quarter. And there's a gamble involved in that until he knocks it out of the end zone. So he makes coaches look good too, you know, because it'd be easy to say, you know, you got to go the other way for third quarter.
Does this win feel any different with it being a rival, or is just a win to you?
Each is different. And we, you know, we've always been, and it doesn't mean it happens, but we come out of this game a lot of times over the years, regardless of result. And you learn so much. Just there's so many situations that tend to arise. How close the score almost always is, and we've always played better football after this game. When you look at FBS competition over the years, I think you'd see there's a difference. And so now, do we face really a completely different style? We absolutely do. You know, especially the next 3 weeks.
Anybody else?
Coach, in a game like this, when it's close, coming down to the wire, do you rely on your seniors more to tell everybody else, hey, stay focused, stay disciplined? Because, you know, one penalty could have made the difference today.
Oh, so true. And, you know, I think both sides are stirred up pretty good. And yet, my goodness, what do you want in a future warrior? You and I both want people that have some drive, you know, a little bit of extra in their neck. I mean, that's okay to have. It's okay to, if you're going to go fight for freedoms and democracy, we want that in our men and women. And we saw that out there today with both teams.
Defensively, when you looked at Navy's offense coming into today, was there a certain part of their game plan? Were you trying to limit their outside runs? Did you want to keep them outside?
Well, I think what we really wanted to do was try to really eliminate, and you can't eliminate, I should say reduce the fullback and the quarterback's involvement as carriers. And they presented us something that was quite a bit different than what they did against East Carolina last week. We tried to prep, for a good bit of shotgun. We saw a bunch today.
Troy, you seem to be philosophizing a little bit, if you will, about more outside of the game because of this matchup with Navy. Does that have anything to do with your affiliation with the school, with Air Force, with your dedication to this great nation and Air Force?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You think of, if you're 18 years old and you have maybe an array of schools that you could go attend and you say, hey, I serve. And for these men and women to do that, golly, and they don't do it because they're expecting attention or accolades or recognition. They knew it. They do it just because in their soul you give, and it's pretty awesome. Players, absolutely, but really both student bodies.
And then to see just like this level of football out there between these two schools, just what does that mean for these two academies?
Well, there are some very good preparation grounds. Some of the seeds that are sowed. Now we'll phrase that a little bit differently. Just the investment, in our young men and young women, as leaders, and how hard it is. The number of mistakes today, because there were a bunch on both sides, but just how fruitful it is to learn from those mistakes. They're honest, full speed, aggressive mistakes. I'll tell you what, you jump in an F-16 or that F-30, those F-35s that went over the top, it's exactly what we want in our Warriors. And Navy's every bit of that and more. We're grateful to no end that's, you go shake their hand, you think, holy cow, how fortunate are we that they're going to go fight for our country too, just like our men and women here at the Air Force Academy are.
Sorry.
One more small play, but has Zeke, after he ran for the first down right there at the end of the game, had the presence of mind to get down, also inbounds? When he's got to be aggressive like that and then quickly be able to reach into his mind and come up with that, what does that say kind of about the way he plays?
Well, I think just the field awareness, the situational awareness. And again, you're talking about a guy that wasn't just a football player in high school. And it's okay if you only play football, but you've been in so many situations where you think, all right, score's tied. There are 8 seconds left in the basketball game. Do we want to rush a shot or do we want to launch with 2 or 3 seconds left so there's only one team that gets an opportunity? And he knew before he went out there, he thought, hey, if for some reason if it's clogged, then I still got to get down rather than going out of bounds just because there weren't a whole lot of there were no timeouts left. Yes, ma'am.
One more.
Last question on the rivalry. This is more than just a football game for both schools. What does this game mean to the Air Force Academy as a whole?
Well, it's a game. Big picture, yeah, sure, we're talking about sports, but it's, and not that you're trying to diminish a game. You aren't at all. It's just when sports are all said and done, ultimately it's going to be how well educated are these young men and young women, and how much do they, and they will, when they really got to go lay it on the line, they will. And, you get where it gets so stirred and so competitive, amongst the two teams, and you don't like each other, but during the game. But in reality, you just don't know where you're going to be. All of a sudden, you are together, whether it's 7 years from now or 15 years from now, and nobody can tell you where on the globe that may be. That's reality.
Was that in the script to go for that early in the game?
I didn't know it was. I think it just was the flow of the drive. Coach wanted to take a shot, so we did.
And, to have, we've seen you make these plays now for 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row. What was the difference doing this that early against Navy in front of 35,000?
It was just a good spark to the game. We really wanted to emphasize starting fast. This game means a lot, so we wanted to start fast, and it was a good way to do it.
And was there a reason you guys didn't go back to that at all? Or, after you had those 3 early catches and then second half, really, the passing game didn't factor in. But, were you aware of any reason that was?
I mean, we ran a boot a couple times in the second half, but we're just trying to establish a run and get to what we do.
Okay. And then, as a senior, to get this game out of the way, set up a championship game now in Texas, what's that mean to you?
Yes, sir. It means a lot for us seniors, to do something that hasn't been done in a while.
And how tense was the end of the game?
It was tense, but we didn't want it any other way. It's a service academy game. That's how they go.
All right. And I'll just stay on offense with you, Zeke. Man, what did this game play out the way you thought it would, or with the way you guys started, did you kind of think, okay, this isn't going to be like last year's game?
I would say I think we did everything we wanted to do. Just some of our own mistakes that stopped us. My 2 fumbles. So I think it's a lot different if those 2 fumbles don't happen. So I think we did what we wanted to do.
Where were you looking on the second fumble? Did you have a play?
I tried to throw the ball. He hit me. I got sacked and he hit the ball. So.
But I mean, which receiver?
Oh,
what
him.
were you?
Yeah, him.
Was it an open shot?
I think he would have caught it.
And how much relief is there? Because of the fumbles and because it's Navy and everything else, that the game turned out the way it did.
Just having confidence in our teammates. Knowing the defense is going to do what they're going to do. Regardless of fumbling the ball on our own 30 or whatever the case may be, and they're going to stop and hold them 3 points. Just having faith, in that when they score, just letting the defense know that we got you now.
And what did you see from Brad Roberts in the fourth quarter, the way he was running the ball?
Tough. That's why he got Diesel hat. He's tough.
And then for you to kind of secure it with that run, and then on the same play, have the presence of mind to get down.
Yeah.
Kind of take me through that.
Just knowing that, knowing the situation, knowing that, we need a first down to ice the game. Coach called a good play. Everybody blocked. I'm running outside, getting close to out of bounds, and I don't know if you guys remember earlier in the first half, I actually ran out of bounds. I should have stayed in bounds. So just being aware of the situation and trying to ice the clock.
And Coach Calhoun was referring to your athletic background and basketball and other things that to help lead to that kind of ability to think on the run. Do you think that factors into it?
Just trying to have IQ. Just trying to know about the game and try to just be smart.
Okay. And Trey, early on, you had a play on a third down that, when Navy was really struggling to get going, you threw down a receiver, about a yard short of the first down 6. How important was the start for you and for the defense to get that lead and kind of show Navy how difficult yards were going to be?
I mean, the first few drives of any game are, those are critical to how the rest of the game is really going to play out. At least the intensity that they see on our side and the play that they ran, we had seen in practice for the last 5 days. So it's just a testament to our coaches because there was not a play that I saw today that, we haven't seen this year. So that was awesome. And
the defense was placed in a couple tough spots again. And you guys, that's kind of been your MO all season. Quick change of possession. You guys have been able to come up with the stops, especially there at the end of the half and then early in the third quarter. Is there something about those spots that kind of gets the defense going, when you've got a short field to work with?
We're strong-minded. We're really willed. I think whenever that type of stuff happens, we understand that that sets the tone for our defense. How we respond to that is going to be how we're going to respond to the rest of the season. So, stuff like that gets us going.
And Vince, you picked a good week to have your first huge game of the season. How does that feel for you to do that?
It feels good. I mean, it's Navy week, no matter about individual stats, we just wanted to win this game, and we did it together as a team, so I feel real good.
And same thing I asked David, as a senior, to be able to do this now in Dallas, to have everything lined up, what's that mean?
It means everything. Just coming out, be able to get that first win and set it up. So now we know if we get the second win, we do something that hasn't been done since 2016. So it's just half of it. And then once we get to the other half, then we'll really be excited.
Was there a moment you soaked in the atmosphere?
Probably after that last first down, when they were out of timeouts, then that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, we got this one. So.
Yeah, I can go. Trey and Vince, Coach had mentioned that quarterback and fullback for Navy were the main focuses in terms of limiting them. How do you feel like you guys prepared for that? And did you meet your expectations in terms of limiting them?
I'll take it. I think we did. I think we did a good job of limiting those two. Number 1 and 24, those are some explosive athletes. But we did a really good job with them. They, found some holes in other areas that, we hadn't focused on as much during the week, but we did a good job of handling our assignments and what we need to do.
Zeke, DePour's been close to perfect for y'all this season. How much confidence does that give you in the offense, knowing you have him to back y'all up?
A lot of confidence, obviously we want to score every drive, that's the goal, but just knowing that, we have a lot of range that we can kick from with DePour and just trusting in him, having complete faith in him, just good feeling.
For Trey and Vince, because you guys part of that defense, it came down to you guys having to make stops in a low-scoring game to make those critical stops. I mean, what goes through your mind when you see they're on the move, they're trying to tie the game, and you guys are able to come up with a stop?
I mean, we never try to get too high or get too low. We just try to stick to what we do, make sure everybody knows their job, and it's a team game. They score at the end of the, in the fourth quarter, the offense came back out and then got some points on the board. It goes back and forth, so we pick them up, they pick us up.
Is it just as simple as a rivalry game? This is really for any of you guys out there. It's all these service academy games always come down to the wire, and I know it's a rivalry, but how do you think it always turns out that way?
I mean, service academy games come down to probably two things. Both teams play hard. Both teams know each other's offense and defenses because we see it every day. So, it just comes down to who's going to execute better. Because we know everybody's going to play hard, so that's why usually they're always pretty close.
The last possession, fourth quarter, the last long drive to tie it or to take the lead, because you were running a little more inspired than, not that you don't always run hard, but there looked to be a little different juice in there.
We knew we just had to get it done. I mean, obviously it was a tie ball game. I knew every yard was going to matter, and the offensive line, the Z's, the wideouts, everybody knew that every yard was going to matter. So we were playing like every inch mattered, and it paid off.
Is that the kind of moment or moments that you think you're going to look back on when you look back at your Air Force career and remember fondly the most?
Yes, sir. I think so. Just being able to persevere in those late game drives, I think that's really cool.
And then, when you guys came off the field and watched the field goal, how nice was it to see that that paid off and you put the points on the board?
It was very nice to see the field goal, but obviously as an offense, we got to be able to score when we're that close.
And just overall, getting this one out of the way, setting up what's going to now happen in November in Texas, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot, but obviously the job's not finished. We've beaten Navy the past, I don't know, I think it's 3 years now, but we haven't been able to beat Army, so that's going to need to change.
And TD, the defense, you guys always seem to play Navy well, and you in particular have had a couple good games now. What is it about that, them that brings out the best in you in particular and you in this defense?
We practice against triple option against these guys every day, whether it's 7-on-7 inside drill, and even spring practice and early fall camp. We're just doing triple option, getting ready for these two big games. And so just being able to play our techniques, play our assignments, and everyone doing their job and trusting in each other, we're able to execute very well.
And they were 0 for 7 at one point on third down. And then, so obviously that put them in some obvious passing downs. You had a sack on one of those. When you're playing a team that isn't well-versed in passing, how important is that to get those third and longs, and then you're able to kind of bring the house?
Oh, it's good because, like I said, they want 3-4 yards, and that's it every play. And when you can get them in third and longs, it makes them change their philosophy a little bit, their system. So being able to get after them and get a couple saps makes big plays in the game.
And to be able to soak up an atmosphere like this at home, you guys obviously you haven't experienced that a lot at home. Mm-hmm. What was that like, for either of you? Just the end of the game, during the game, anything, just the atmosphere.
I mean, it was awesome having everybody here at Falcon Stadium, especially late in the game, the crowd roaring. It was an awesome experience. Really happy it was here.
Yeah, it was great. Big crowd today. Everybody's excited for it in any Service Academy game, so it was a great environment.
Anybody back here?
This is for both of you, but I'll just address each one of you individually. Brad, just from a football rivalry point of view, what does this game mean to you? And then secondly, from a bigger picture point of view, what does it mean to be playing against Navy and for the service academy?
I mean, this is probably the biggest rivalry that we have, Army and Navy. They're extreme rivalries, and for the bigger picture, this is just our first step, and we're going to need to take the second step in about a month or so.
TD, can you answer the same question, please?
Could you repeat the question?
Absolutely, I would love to. From a football point of view, just what does it mean to be playing against your true rival Navy here in front of your fans, and what did the atmosphere feel like like this to get this win against your rival? And then I'll ask the second question after that.
Oh, it's a great challenge going against both service academies. Like, we've played each other for forever now, so everybody knows what the other team's going to do. So being able to go out there and execute, it's just a great feeling to come out with a dub.
On the bigger picture question, just what does it mean to go against another service academy, and just the bigger picture outside of football, to go against somebody that you'll later down the road maybe have to team up with outside of football, Right.
It's just a great respect. Like, both teams have respect for each other. We know we're serving our country down the line, and so yeah, it's just a great environment for it. So yeah.